Hello, everyone. Welcome to Discoveries. I am your co-host here, Liam Nixon, and Brandon.
I'm your host, Brandon Gilly, but today I will be co-host for the meeting as we interview the wonderful, talented, beautiful Madelyn Dundon. How are you, Maddie?
I'm great. I'm blushing. I'm gonna move out of the break.
Blushing with the gleam.
Blushing with the gleam of the computer on my face.
Yes, sir. So we're very excited to show your performance of From Two for Tea, and we were just wondering, what inspired you to record a jazz album?
Yeah, thank you for Liam asking that question. Brandon, I've known Liam since high school, and he knows I've trained classically as a vocalist, like opera. But since I came out of the womb, jazz has been my absolute favorite to sing. The Great American Songbooks, like all the George Gershwin music and Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong and Frank Sinatra, just since forever. That's just been my absolute favorite kind of music to sing. So when I was in college, I was continuing to train classically. But my first ever vocal coach was a jazz musician named Lou Lanza. He's amazing. He's related to Mario Lanza, the famous opera singer Mario. I know, he's like a descendant of Mario.
Yes. Wow.
You told me about Lanza before.
Yeah, I love his real quick for the people tuning in. I love his Lord's Prayer. Fire. So beautiful. And then his Nessun Dorma is fire as well. But great. He can do it all. But so, yeah.
So I actually it was just ironic. My first vocal coach was giving me classical things, but also some jazz here and there. And I'd done a jazz camp in high school. But then when I got to college, I would go to they had jazz nights. I went to West Virginia University, so in Morgantown they would have jazz nights, and I would just get up there and jam with the band. And I tried to meet accompanists just to play jazz with me when I was out there, and I never really connected with anyone. Things just kind of fell through, or we didn't have really the same style or aesthetic and things like that. And when I was home during the pandemic, I was having a coaching session with a guy named Tony Gyro, who's an incredible saxophone player, jazz artist based here in the Lehigh Valley, just total legend. He teaches at Moravian College, and they have an amazing jazz department. And I was like, Tony, I just want an accompanist. Like, I just want to be playing with someone, just like jazz. And I want to be playing gigs. I want to be performing jazz anywhere. And he's like, I know just the guy for you. And then he introduced me to Matt Asti, our pianist in Two for Tea, and he has the same aesthetic as I do. He's classically trained, but he loves the Great American Songbook, so just those like classic jazz standards from like the early to mid 20th century. And he trained in England at the Leeds Conservatoire, so his technique is out of control. And this is like a really long answer, but I met in high school, I was singing with the Bach Choir of Bethlehem. So that's just proof that I was like super classically based. And I met a violinist from Lehigh University here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And he was also like a sound recording engineer. And after he graduated, he ended up moving into Brooklyn, and he is a sound recording engineer in Brooklyn for like Broadway cast albums, and like is recording amazing stuff. And we've kept in touch, and we're dear friends. And he was always like, hey, like when you're ready to record anything, like let me know, I'll help you out. And Matt and I just would meet, like during the pandemic, we would just meet and just play. And we had nowhere to perform. So we were like, I was like, I'll just call up David and see if we could put an EP together. Of geography, and we got to go into Brooklyn in March and went to this incredible studio, and David mixed it for us. And he is with Satsuma Collective, which is like a record label with another friend of ours, and it got distributed through them. And that's a really long answer, but anyway, that's kind of been the journey there. Yep.
That's incredible.
Yes.
And then one thing that I've also noticed, when you post, you know, these, I've seen you singing videos on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. One thing that's really stuck out to me is like not only your beautiful voice, but like these characters, and like you really gauge like the essence of these songs. And that's, I want to get to your acting background. Madey has been in 2 films, Getting Grace, and this next one's coming out, Lucky Louie, correct?
Yeah.
And you got to check it out. It's going to be awesome. And I just want to, how'd you get your acting, like how'd you start acting, and tell us about Getting Grace and Lucky Louie and stuff.
So my mom's a professional costume designer and director, and when I was born, you know, I just like, we were going to the theater, and like I grew up right down the road from the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, which is like top 5 Shakespeare festivals in the country. So just like the most talented Shakespearean stage actors in the country performing there. And our mom had gone to DeSales, which is hosts the Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. And so ever since I can remember, I have been, you know, just surrounded by theater. And there was kind of never anything else. Like I just knew from forever that that's kind of what I, you know, was gonna do, or at least it was gonna be a part of my life always in some way. And actors know that, you know, it's not one of those jobs that's a 9 to 5, you know, 5 days a week. It's like you don't know how it's going to be a part of your life. So I just knew I was going to be an actress, or that I was. And my mom always said growing up, like, you don't want to be an actress. You're not going to be an actress. Like, you are an actress. Like, you were born with certain skills or talents, and you're always going to have those. So she was just so encouraging of me from the beginning. Like, you don't want to be this. You already are this. Like, you were born this way. And so I just kind of grew up, of course, like doing theater and grade school, and then in high school. And then after my senior year of high school, Daniel Roebuck, film actor, TV actor, is from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And he came and he visited Bethlehem Catholic High School, where Liam and I had the lovely honor of meeting one another.
We were always like the romantic, like,
leads.
I don't know, we were leads, yeah.
Were you guys like a
So,
couple in one of the shows at some point?
like,
Multiple.
yeah.
Three? I think they had us couples in 3 shows.
Oh, wow.
We were.
Yeah. Come
We were
on.
pretty baller. Come on.
Awkward question, but at some point were you guys like, should we marry each other at this point since they put us together in shows?
In high school,
With the right connection, you know?
Like it's illegal, but hey, why not? You know, we were married on stage, so technically, I guess we might be married. In
Brigadoon. Yes.
Brigadoon, we got actually married on stage.
We had bagpipes and everything. It was a beautiful ceremony.
Beautiful ceremony. There was lots of dancing. Liam sprained his ankle. No, he didn't.
I did. I did a nice toe touch though.
Have you seen Liam's toe touch?
Oh, he does it. Sophomore year of college, he would do it at least 2 times a day. It was. I was jealous, but also I was also amazed by how high he could touch his toes.
I'm a dancer, so I would watch Liam's toe touches and just be infuriated because I was not blessed with flexibility in that way, like that. And oh, it's the worst.
Yeah. It's just a weird. For all you people viewing, I'll have to come on to the show one time and do a toe touch for you, but not today.
Right now, Liam.
We were in an opera called Deflator Mouse in sophomore year, and we would stretch like every single rehearsal, before every single rehearsal. And you know, I'm already struggling to touch my toes, and here comes Liam like walking in. He's like, "Guys, you want to see my toe touch?" Takes off his backpack, and he does it like 3 times in a row. And everyone's like cheering for him. All the girls are like, "Oh!" And I'm here just like, "Okay, Liam, okay."
But like, if it were anyone else, that would be obnoxious. But he's so incredibly sweet that it's like it's okay. Like,
exactly.
Like,
only Liam has that pass, you know? Yeah.
So Liam actually was a Hawk ambassador, and I think Liam, you were also a Hawk ambassador. So we would like give tours of the school and stuff like that. And so Danny Roebuck came to Becca, and my principal was like, "Oh, Madelyn and Liam do theater. So, like, they'll give you a tour of the school." And then I don't remember, Liam, if you kind of were also with me when I gave Danny the tour, or if you left at one point.
I think I came in like halfway through. They pulled me out of, I'll never forget, because I was in Miss DeSanto's Algebra 2 class. Okay, everyone, I wasn't good at math. Sue me, I was
That was my math with Debbie.
Yeah. But great teacher. I learned so much from her. Shout out to Miss DeSanto. Much love. But they pulled me out of Algebra 2 halfway through the tour or whatever, and I got to meet him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just met Daniel Roebuck. Like, that's so cool." And but yes, I was there for half of it.
Like, after that meeting, Mr. P, you know, I don't know, they chatted, and then Danny got my mom's information and said, "Your daughter is totally crazy, just like this character I've written in this movie that I'm going to be filming in Lehigh Valley. I would love if she would audition. The only thing is she has to agree that if she gets the role, she will shave her head for it." And I remember I was home after school in the spring. The musical had ended where Liam and I got married again or something in that show. I don't remember.
Wonderful Town, right?
Wonderful Town. Leonard Bernstein, wonderful show. Great numbers in that for boys. Lots of Brazilian cadets needed in that show. And I was home after school, and my mom was like, "Maddie, Danny Roebuck just called me, and he wants you to audition for this movie, but like before you audition, you have to say like, yeah, you'll shave your head to audition for the movie." And I was like, you know, I'm intense. Fun fact. And like, my dad was in the Army, so I'm super creative like my mom, but I'm also a little bit intense like my dad. And I was like, "Shave my head, a movie? Yes, of course. Like, of course I'll do that." And I auditioned, and I ended up getting the part. And it filmed in Bethlehem the summer after my senior year of high school. And then Sony Pictures bought it, and it got distributed nationwide.
No way.
Yeah, they distributed it, and it can be it played. Danny and I did like a tour when it came out back in 2018, and we went all over the country for screenings, and we went to Canada and all this stuff, and you could stream it anywhere.
Real quick, the best was like I'd be at like Panera or like Wawa, and I'd see a bus, that said "Getting Grace," and it had Maddie's face on it, and I'd be like in Panera, like eating, soup or like my chicken noodle soup in a bowl, in a bread bowl, and I'd be like
Yes,
eating it, and I'd go,
details.
Soup falls back into the bowl. You're like,
"Is that just? Did I just see Maddie?" And like, I would just see the, and it would happen like a lot. Like it wasn't like a one-time thing. Like it happened like 8 times.
Yes, because Brandon, Transbridge bus. So where Liam and I are from, Lehigh Valley, is an hour or so out of New York City. And there's the Transbridge bus that runs to New York multiple times a day, every day. And that's what they got a massive spread of Getting Grace's like poster for the side of the Transbridge bus. So friends of mine, literally from Becca that went on to go to college in New York, would text me from New York City like, "You just drove by me on a bus in New York City." Because it's the Transbridge bus, and the Getting Grace poster is still on the side of some of those buses. I'm like, it's been 3 years. Like, what? Why? But so supportive in all seriousness, like very grateful for that. And then I went to college, and then after college, COVID hit, and Danny Roebuck came back to town and made another movie called Lucky Louie and wrote me a role in that, and we got to film that in the fall.
So what's your role in Lucky Louie?
I play a graduate student of criminal psychology at Bucknell. Yes.
Ooh, big flex.
big flex.
Big
Wait,
flex.
I want to ask. I just wanted to ask your experience on how, like, what was your experience playing these roles, especially with Getting Grace being like a really emotional movie and everything. Like, how was your experience playing such a vital role that is a huge thing in today's society where people really care about like what's going on, and then how you bring this character of Grace alive.
Right. It was, my first ever experience on film. I'd only ever worked on stage. Like I'd never done even like a student film or anything like that. And it was an intense, like 6 days a week. And the character of Grace is in every scene in Getting Grace. I think there's like one scene that she's not in. I mean, she's present the whole time. So I think my experience was just a huge learning experience. It was just one long masterclass in how to act on camera. And Daniel Roebuck was so encouraging and supportive, and he kind of gave me a ton of freedom, which was funny because I was learning so much from him, but he also just kind of let me do whatever I want. Like, I think on the first day, I was so nervous kind of that I kept, when I'm nervous, I slip into accents. Like I've only recently put this together that if I'm nervous, I'll start talking in a British accent or something else. And I think I did that on the first day. And he was like, "I love that. Keep that." And so then for the rest of the movie, she slips into these accents because then it was just something that he just gave me the liberty to just do whenever I wanted to. The character, of course, was so intimidating because I did not want it to be offensive in any way or feel trite. Or that it was poking fun at something that's so difficult for families and people all over the world. Pediatric cancer is no joke. So it was a very heavy thing, and I took it extremely seriously. I think if you guys saw me on set, you would have thought I was a very mean, intense person because I just was just hyper focused and I took it very seriously. And it felt like, a big responsibility to honor all of those children and to really work hard. And it was an incredible experience. It really, truly was. The most incredible part of it was once the film was distributed, taking it all over the country and meeting people at these screenings and seeing how much of an impact the film has on parents of kids that have passed away, people that are fighting cancer at all ages, either themselves or loved ones. Like the way that they feel after watching that movie was the most incredibly gratifying thing because, on set every day, you're just in front of the camera. There's no audience feedback. And I remember going home every night being like, oh my gosh, that was horrible, or that was awful. What are people going to think? Are they going to be offended, or are they going to laugh? I don't even know. Cause you don't know. You just do it and then you're done and then you're on to the next thing and you only get 2 shots at it or however many takes you get.
And that's the thing about like these type of roles like that you accept. It's, of course, every single role that's given, it has some type of stake to it, but roles like Grace, like there's some extra stake into it because it's a role that reflects, you know, reality and the way society looks at these people. And so when you take this role, it's kind of like the pressure's on you a bit because it can either go either way, you know, it can either go really well or like really bad, you know. And like
especially with writing, like the writing of the script, like if there would be a joke in the script that I didn't get because you're not writing it, someone else is writing it, so it's someone else's sense of humor. So Danny writes a joke that he has to explain to me, you know what I mean? And so then as the actor, one of the hardest things is like if you see a line or something that confuses you, your joke that you don't get right away, but then you have to say it like it's coming from you. So those would be kind of like the hardest scenes for me, having him like explain it to me and then trying to make it feel like it's coming out of your mouth for the first time and out of your head and like from a very, very genuine place. And I think I was just in such a state of, I got into the character and then for the whole shoot, like it was like 35 days and I never really broke it, like because we were doing, it was like 15-hour days. I mean, we were shooting from like 6 a.m. to like 2 in the morning or later for 6 days a week. So it was like I've never to this day had an experience like that. Like even like in college, I don't know how to explain it. Like I didn't really sleep a lot. I was just so in it. Like you were just in it. It was intense and I would not change it for a second. I would not go back and do anything differently. I'm just so grateful. It was incredible.
So then how was like preparing for Grace different than in your role in Lucky Louie?
It was funny. So after getting Grace, I got to sign with like a manager and agent out in LA, and I've been auditioning for lots of roles and things like that. And not all of them are roles that you like connect with, kind of. It's like a stretch or, you know, and then I read this character of a grad student and I was like, I can really relate to that. Like she is very approachable. She's smart. She doesn't really have a goofy sense of humor. She's a little serious. And so I just, you know, of course, memorized all my lines and I did a lot of research into what she studied. So like I did a lot of research into behavior, into criminal psychology and all of that. I like researched a lot her area of study. And then I imagined like friends of mine, like shout out to Colleen O'Reilly, friend from our high school. Like this
That
girl,
is hilarious you brought her up. Colleen literally sent me a Snapchat a few nights ago. And one of my dear friends, Robbie Skeed from Pepperdine, like he's my homie, he's from New Jersey. And I get a Snapchat of her and Robbie hanging out in New York City. And I was like, I was so confused. I was like, how did that happen? And it was so cool. So like now we're all gonna hang out sometime.
That's insane.
The world is so small like that. That is insane, Liam. I love when things like that happen. Yeah, she is so delightful and she's got her act together. She's really got her act together and she's clean cut, like in a way. Like she just is class and adorable at the same time as like got her act together. And that's the energy I got from this character. And it made me think of Colleen and I would like think of her like you think of people, but then it also has to just come from yourself. It's just a version of yourself that you're tapping into. And that, like I was talking earlier, that I'm a little bit intense, like that side of myself I was really indulging in when being that character. I wasn't being goofy. It wasn't like Grace where she's totally no filter. Like this girl has an extreme filter and she's always cautious of what people are thinking of her and wants to be always professional and on and very focused. So I was kind of like tapping into those parts of myself, I guess, while also thinking of Colleen O'Reilly's immaculate hair. Just great hair.
That's awesome.
I think I want to be her.
I'm good if you guys are. Brandon, do you have any more questions? Or?
I don't as of now. Well, we have an editor, so we can like cut things. Like we can. Wait, we need to make a proper exit out.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we can cut just that out. But so I'm just gonna say. Okay, you go. You go.
I'm your host, Brandon Gilly.
And I'm your co-host, Liam Nixon. Madelyn Dundon. thank you so much for coming on the show. You're the best.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you.